Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Deaths, back with yet another Kamihime project video. Now, this one, I have to point out that recently the game has stabilized a little bit, but no telling that there ever will be any major errors or screw-ups or whatnot, so I'm more or less just doing this video as a just in case, because players really do need to plan towards this, and it's getting closer and closer to actually reaching this content. But this is just one of many reasons why you need to start raising all 6 of the basic elements, which is fire, wind, water, thunder, light, and dark. And this content is optional, but there's 2 cases, technically 3 later on, where it won't be optional if you want to try and actually become stronger and like maximize your teams and whatnot. Now, we've already had a taste of it with guild competition, so I don't have to go over that in this video. And of course, Tower is an obvious example as well. Now, in the case of Tower, it's because the majority of the medals is obtained by getting missions, and later on that will indeed change to where all of the medals come from missions, because rankings will get removed. But 1/3 of the mission medals come from having the same element that has advantage against the enemies. So if it's Fire Tower, you need Water Kamihime. If it's Thunder Tower, you need Wind Kamihime. That's one of the biggest reasons to raise all 6 elements, because of the fact that you will get weapon break limit bricks for SSR weapons, and those are very hard to get without paying for. And even if you do spend on the game to get those, it's still unguaranteed. It's not even guaranteed gaps between them, where like we may get a brick grab bag, and then next thing you know, we may not see one for like a month or 2. But also the fact that the only other way to get those weapon bricks would happen to be Dragonic Eye shards, and you need 10 shards to get a Dragonic Eye. You need 20 Dragonic Eyes to get one of those bricks for weapons or Eidolons. So it's not easy to get those, and that's a free way to do it. And of course, guild competition would happen to be the one for the Eidolons. However, we are now starting to get guild competitions where the last one got a little bit bugged, but it's supposedly introduces a new mechanic where if you're attacking without the advantage team, you will deal less damage to the enemy, and they will become immune to any debuffs you try to land on them. So using the advantage team is very recommended at that point. So because especially guild competition, because that's where you're trying to do as much damage as possible. It's literally a damage race against other players at that. So you don't want to fall off the ranks by just focusing on one element, and then all of a sudden that's your only source of damage, when you could have just tried to build up multiple elements. Now, that's not to say to not focus on one element more than the others, because you need a lead element in order to grind most of the content to bring up the others. But it's just another case of importance, because again, those break limit items are very hard to get your hands on. They are very hard to get your hands on. If you're not doing these events, you are going to get few and far between, especially if you're a free player. Now, this is another one that I'm actually going to go over. Like, this is really going to start going over in the video. We are going to get heroic difficulty for events. Now, the way they changed it, advents may not get them after a certain point, but raid events will. But these are very difficult fights. It is for bragging rights, because these medals don't really do anything except for just give you your profile a bit more like flair, I guess. It's just something to show like, oh hey, I'm really good against this stuff. But it is a very good challenge and a good measure of how strong you really are, because this content is going to be harder than most other content in the game. And that said, when this comes around, it is not going to be an easy fight. without even going into what you probably need for your grid, which is definitely close to like 200% assault or something like that. I can say that without a doubt. But just going into what you need. First off, advantage element, because the same mechanic from guild competition is going to be in this. If you are not using advantage element, you will deal 10% of the damage you normally do. And you can't land debuffs. So you have to be advantage element. And then on top of that, it's recommended that your combat power is 75,000. On top of being at least rank 100. By then you probably have a the 4th tier souls, which is the S class. I would definitely have one of those before taking them on. Especially Romulus, who is very good for most of these. But that alone is already quite demanding. And that's not even getting into the fights themselves. Like, for instance, I will go into Python. Is a very interesting one I want to show. Because her like, this is later stuff too. Like, they will change the way out of all this stuff. We will get, like, they will remove beginner from the advent. And they'll put in expert, ultimate, Ragnarok, and then there's a Ragnarok plus. You can grind Ragnarok, but Ragnarok plus is like once a day, or twice a day, as it says. And then you have to clear Ragnarok plus and be rank 100 in order to do heroic. And you already see the scaling combat power. They recommend like 5,000 for the weakest one, then 16,000, then 30,000, then 42,000, then 53,000, then 75,000. So yeah, but just going into it, like, you already know this stuff. Ragnarok actually starts having normal enemies instead of just the boss. Then Ragnarok plus, everybody has at least 7 digits of HP. I'm going to say this is probably on the level of Guild Order when Ragnarok plus hits. And then heroic, it's just nuts. Look at this HPO right out the gate. 40 million just for the first stage, and then 90 million for the second. And then these special behaviors become quite interesting to deal with. Like, I'm not even going to go over this full info. I'll probably do that when the event comes out, if should we make it that far. But a few things about this is the fact that if you take too long on this fight, then the boss will hit you with a special trigger where it will first remove every single buff on you. Every single buff. And then on top of that, it will nuke you so hard that you need damage cut. It will nuke everybody. You will need damage cut. And then it will put a state on herself that will increase all the damage she has. Like, you really need to finish the fight right at that point. And then the biggest thing about this is the fact that if it happens again, like, I don't remember if it was Python or not, looking at this again, but there's still a lot of insta-kill removers, but it definitely does look like it's Python given this. But it will remove all the debuffs, and then it will strengthen herself in order to do it again the next time her orbs fill up. And when that happens, and she does it again, you will see everyone take like 100,000 damage or 1,000,000 damage or something real crazy you can't survive. That's the whole point of this. It's like a puzzle, but you still got to be strong enough to deal with this type of stuff. And you have to solo all of these. Even in raid events, you have to solo these. So it is essentially like the HP is on the level of Ragnarok raids, but the difficulty of the fight is past Guardian raid level if you tried to solo it, so yeah. And it's not like it's impossible, but it's insane. So, simply put, you really need to start raising a whole bunch of different elements and see what works, because it is crazy some of the stuff that these can do. Like, for instance, I remember, like, this is the one with the clock, but I remember that this one, she was freezing your turns, your turn counts, I do believe, or something like that. Yeah, just look at the HP on this one, actually. 100,000 for, 100 million for the first fight and 150 million for the second. That is basically Bethor's HP you have to go through on your own. But, yeah, this is it. It puts a specific, like, debuff on your characters where the abilities, like, they get a turn extension, or their cooldown doesn't decrease or something like that. So you really, really have to be careful about that. But it is... Yeah, you have to burst in order to actually reduce the cooldowns for the trigger. Reduce the cooldown to your stuff. Or the cooldowns of when the enemy does a trigger. But this is just an example of some of the craziness that's going to happen later on. And again, this is harder than anything we currently have right now. Heroic difficulty is going to be harder than anything we currently have. So, anybody that's interested in trying to do heroic, a good place to be is soloing those raids. All of the raids of the element for the team you're working on. Like, if you're, in my case, I'm a light main, I can do all the dark raids on my own. I'm very good, well built for heroic difficulty against dark enemies. However, a fire main would want to be that way for the wind ones and so on. But if somebody's trying to do all their heroics, you gotta do it for all 6 elements, because going off element is not an option. You'll get demolished unless you have some insane defenses and can stall it out. But there are some fights that counter that, so you can't do it with every single one. But also, there is even something else. I said that current content, so you already know where I'm going with this. Now, there is the Titan raids, which are harder, but it's not really element locked because those are phantom enemies. This is where things get interesting, because we are definitely going to need to do these. There is something in the game that will happen later on where we will be able to final break limit Eidolons. And I do believe they go up to level 150 as well, if I remember correctly. But that will give them a special ability where they will have a sub effect. As in, normally when you set them in the main slot, you get a main slot effect bonus, like say 40% more elemental, or you increase your double attack rate or something like that. Well, final break them and they will be able to do that with sub slots as well. Like, for instance, the 100% Eidolons, not the 140% ones, they will get, like, Belial, Rudra, Kirin, they will get, first off, their main effect will be able to go even higher, up to the 140%, I do believe. And then their sub effect, if you put them in a sub slot, you don't get that main effect boost. You don't get the sub effect boost if you put them in the main slot, but the sub slot will still give you elemental boost. So that will work in tandem with the stronger ones, like the 140%. That's what I mean about that type of stuff. And then on top of that, Guardian weapons will be able to go to final break as well. I don't know if Guardian Eidolons will do it, but maybe. But the trick with that is the fact that you will have to deal with these fights as you can see, there is a Ragnarok Plus for this Fire Guardian. And it is nuts. I'm not even going to go over this, but you see this laundry list of stuff that both her and her helper can do. And I found out that the trick with this fight, you have to kill both of them at the same time, or the other one gets really, really heated and will nuke the crap out of you. So, there's that. Also, the longer these fights take, the stronger these Eidolons will start getting, and they'll start doing more damage. Now, I do believe that's been nerfed or changed in some cases, but still, these are still harder than the previous fights. They are definitely going to have more HP. I just don't know how much because they never really listed it. But then they got helpers just like in the Ragnarok catastrophes. So, yeah. And the very big thing about these fights, again, that off-element mechanic is in play again. So, if you are, say, taking on the water one with a thunder team, you're doing normal damage, you can debuff them. However, if you're doing it with a wind team, you're dealing 10% of your damage, and you cannot debuff them. More so, I don't know if it's been changed or not, but when these first came out, you were not able to land attack and defense debuffs, as well as a few other ones, like increasing the orb counts that it takes for them to use their stronger nukes. Well, I don't know if that's changed or not, but that means that the only way to basically weaken the damage you can take from them is with damage cut, or pretty much lowering their elemental attack. Like, say you put a water attack debuff on Ophiel. So yeah, that's pretty bad. It's a lot. And then you're limited more on these fights than normal ones. So yeah, they haven't gotten the wind or the dark ones yet, but I found that the thunder one ignores your defense. So even if you put damage cut, it's not going to help you. Like, I remember hearing that it ignores your defense. Like, it is a straight fixed damage, so damage cut will not work. And then they're still trying to get the info for the light ones. Like, they don't have full info for the light one. They're still trying to get info for it, but they do know there's 2 helpers. And some people have sold these. Not to mention, I don't know if the defense values have changed as well. Like, if they have the normal defense or if they have more or not. So, I don't know if they still have the flat 10 defense. This is just stuff to look forward to, because this is permanent content, and you will need to kill their weaker versions in order to be able to fight the stronger ones. So yeah. Now, again, the final break weapons for Guardian weapons, they can do it. The problem is that their base stats don't increase that much. Like, it is negligible. The main reason why you want to do that is because it will still allow you to get skill level 30. But it still takes so much skill experience in order to upgrade these weapons. The only things that eclipse that will happen to be the lucid weapons and the super eye weapons, which is the weapons that need 50 dragonic eyes to get. But yeah, and just to go in here too, just to show this, like, they'll have, like, this is the order of difficulty for all of these fights, supposedly. And you're already seeing what's going on here. So the order of difficulty generally would be from standard to expert raid to ultimate raid to rag catastrophe to guardian to phantom guardian to Hyperion, which is the first Titan. Then there is Ragnarok plus Guardians, which is basically Guardian plus. And then there's Atlas, who's still supposedly harder than that. Yeah. And you can't even get into the Guardian raids until you're rank 111. You can't even get into Guardian plus raids until you're then. More so, you can only make each one once. And you need the regalia. I mean, not the regalia, the treasures from the Guardian raids in order to be able to open those up. So yeah, it is nuts. It is pretty nuts. And to make it even worse too, less people are allowed in the Guardian Plus raids than their original Guardians. Plus you need 80 AP in order to even open that up. And again, the only one that's worse than that is Atlas, because Atlas is designed to be very, very hard to do. And you are forced to use teamwork to beat Atlas, or you have to have an insanely strong grid in order to solo it. So the whole thing with Atlas is because it's for the Lucent weapons, and well, not just the Lucent weapons and Machine Beasts, but yeah, 6 people only allowed in Atlas. Good luck. Good luck, especially if you're not using a sad platform like say Discord's a very easy one to do, or you're actually like FaceTiming somebody on like say Skype or something. You need coordination for Atlas, or you need to be stupidly strong, like whale level strong. But even Atlas has been soloed, so yeah. But the thing is, Guardian Plus, you need to be Advantage Element to really do anything. Otherwise, you're probably going to get completely destroyed very, very quickly and just waste a spot. Not to mention, if you really want to play a support role for Guardian Plus, you're just not going to be able to debuff or anything if you're not Advantage Element. So you're just a heal slave at best. But yeah, that stuff is crazy. It is very, very crazy. And then there's still the Rag Plus stuff. Like, that is going to lead you to the Final Break stuff. I'm even going to go over a few of the Eidolons too. Because that is like, wow. Like, the big one I mentioned was definitely the, like, you see some of these got blue numbers now too. Like, see, sub effect, fire attack is going to go up. Where's this attack of all attribute characters? So, I wonder if that means it's going to be regardless. Yeah, so she's just going to give you assault. But you see she goes up to 80% now when Final Broken. And of course the stats got spiked. Not all of them have gotten it. Like, for instance, the ones that don't have a, the elements that don't have a Guardian Plus didn't get it yet. And then the Kaisers did not get it. The 140% Eidolons did not get it. And then there's these future Eidolons too, where, well, there's the Divine Beast didn't get it either. But there's these future Eidolons where we get the catastrophes themselves as SSR, and they are some of the best Eidolons in the game. They don't get a Final Break either. This one though does. This is Sariel. And the interesting thing about her is the fact that when she comes out, which DMM just recently got, so it's going to be a very long time. When she comes out, she's going to give the same effect like a Guardian Eidolon does, but only for HP. So all your defender is multiplied by 1.2. And I don't mean like how it is with Guardian Eidolons. It's a different type of setup. I mean the base defender, as in the defender that the weapon grid has. So, and it has to be Thunder. It has to be Thunder. So if it is, say, a Thunder defender that gives large or small or medium or even an extra large, those will get increased. However, if it comes from the Phantom weapon, it will not. So she'll give like a 20% bonus to those, technically. However, if you have a Guardian Eidolon, then it will give its 40% bonus, and then she'll give a 20% bonus based on the original defender, not what the Guardian increased it to. So if you went from, say, 100 to 140, then you wouldn't have that 140 get multiplied by another 20%. It's going to be just 100 again, if that makes sense. But yeah, Final Break Eidolons definitely going to be a thing. Definitely going to be a thing. And they were strong stats too. That is like wow level stats. And then of course the Guardians, they don't look like they've gotten final breaks, but maybe they will. Who knows? We still don't even know about the Phantom one either, because that's going to be, it'll be interesting if she gets a Guardian Plus to see how they go with that one. Chances are it'll probably be as hard as Atlas, or maybe just maybe above the Guardian Plus, but below Atlas. It'll be somewhere in that mark if they do it. I have to wait and see. Now, if I'm going to show the Machine Beast, I came to find out that they're on the SR list because they start off as SR and then increase to SSR. So, why am I talking about the Machine Beasts? Well, there's one simple reason, and it is very, very good about them. They act like 100% Eidolons, for the most part. Now, the Dark and the Light ones only go up to 90%, but they act like 100% Eidolons, more or less, if you set them in main slot. And these are SR. You get them from the battlefield. Now, when you put them in the sub slot with the final break, or actually you don't even need a final break by the looks of it, but when you put them in the sub slots, your Lucent weapons will get stronger. So if you're using any Lucent weapon, you definitely need the corresponding Machine Beast to really push it further. Interestingly enough, now, they look like literal machines that are based off of animals or whatnot. When you final break them, they will become 5 stars, I do believe. Yeah, when you final break them, they will become 5 stars. Where's one that actually did get it? I do believe it was this one. Yeah, they jumped it into this one, this SSR one. I don't know if they put them on the page or not. But when you final break them, they will actually turn into actual like female characters. But when you get them stronger and stronger, notice how this is the special effect where summoning them, it deals damage and then it does an extra phantom hit, which is like fixed amount. It'll go 300,000, 400,000, up to 800,000. When you final break it, it's 1 million. What makes it interesting is the fact that these can be used out the gate. You can only do it once, but they can be used out the gate. There is no wait time for this. So honestly, if you get multiple copies, you can just instantly nuke for 5 million regardless of the team. So would it be optimal to put them on nothing but these in your sub slots? Depending on the content, maybe, because you could just sit back and just use whoever and just call out each one to kill each turn. Like for instance, when we get the updated updated SP quests, there should be a Ragnarok version where no enemy has more than 1,000,000 HP, so you could just do all 5 rounds just using these guys. But I wouldn't say these are like necessary, but they can be helpful, and I do believe they get scenes when you final break them, so there's that. But you want the SSR version, you have to final break it. You have to. Like, you have to MLB this and then set up and basically send it out. It isn't technically a final break if you want to be honest, but it works kind of the same way. It will turn MLB SR to basically an MLB SSR, so if anything, is more like a rank increase, a rarity increase. But yeah, apparently that's how you manage to find the info on these guys. It turns out they were SR all along. I didn't know that, but Battlefield is also another case where it's best to use advantage element, because that's where your drop rate's going to be really based on between favorite weapon type and element. But you need so much stuff in order to pretty much enhance a lot of your better stuff. Like, if you're going for Lucent, you need all of this. If you're going for Lucent, you need all of that. If you're going for Machine Beast, it's a totally different list, but still not easy. It is still not easy. And the majority of the drop rate comes from, again, matching favorite weapon types along with the same element. But the enemies are like guild order level, so the only thing that's really making it difficult is the drop rate increase. Because your drop rate's going to be crap without doing that. So that's another case of like building up multiple teams, because at the very least get the Machine Beast, because you won't need to pull 100% Eidolons, at least for main effect, should you get the Machine Beast. Because of that reason. You'll have 100% Eidolon basically right there. And even then is the fact that if you're using the Lucent, you will absolutely need a Machine Beast so you can get the most out of your Lucent. So, yeah, definitely do that. But anyways, this is going on long enough. I don't know if I will be able to do more of this at some point, because when I do, it will be like literally breaking down the content when it releases. And quite frankly, we probably aren't too far off from Battlefield and Atlas. We probably aren't. But Heroic is definitely going to be next year for sure as well. A lot of this is going to be next year. But the next guild competition may or may not show up by the end of the year. I'm not sure. I would have to check the event list. But I know the next tower is going to show up before the end of the year. The next tower is definitely going to show up before the end of the year. I'm pretty sure of that. That said, again, focus on one element to do the bulk of your grinding, and then use them to build up the other 5 elements. This is important if you're really trying to get stronger, because there's going to be more and more content that's going to try and demand it. Between Battlefield, Tower, Guild Competition, Guardian Plus, that is 4 things of permanent content that can really help you. Well, not even permanent content in the case of Tower and Guild Competition, but still, they're very helpful. But that is 4 things that can really help you. And if you're really trying to show off, 5 in the case of Heroic. So, yeah. Again, be prepared, guys. Be very, very prepared. Like, regardless of what version of this game you're playing, you will eventually need to do that if you're really trying to optimize it and stay on top of things, especially considering the fact that guild competition is still against other players. You're going to have to compete against that mess. And pretty soon, Union event's going to be like that too, where the bulk of the Union event rewards is going to be more focused towards the rankings. Because you'll still get the standard stuff like, say, the weapons and the soul points and all that, but Union event will give you bricks. weapon bricks. They will also give you access to trade for whatever union weapons you want. That's all behind ranking medals for the most part. Because 1/3 of the ranking medals you need in order to trade for the bricks after the first 2 trades will be behind both ranks, and you have to top rank it. You will have to top rank it. Because I found out that in order to get 10,000 medals per union event, you will need to be one of the top 50 players for single participation points as a personal achievement, and one of the top 5 unions for union participation points. It will no longer be based on kills when that happens. It is very, very tight on those rankings, so you want the most medals you can get possible. There's a very good chance you won't get enough for a brick in one event, but if you want the most medals you can possibly get, you'll definitely need to focus on a lot of this stuff, and that's why I'm going over this video. So again, be prepared, guys. Be very, very prepared. Of course, you're probably not going to beat out the whales that's happened just spent on every single element. Honestly, I can't say that I am helping that situation, at least with light, because I have whaled on light, and I have built quite a strong grid with it, and I can still go even further if I wanted to. But again, it's just the fact that try to be as strong as you possibly can for some of the later stuff, because it's going to be very difficult. And some things are going to get a little bit more tedious. So anyways, that's all for this. More of this may come soon as it comes out. It depends. But anyways, that's all for now, guys. Take care.